ranking member of the Committee on Natural Resources.
The gentleman from Alaska is recognized for 5 minutes. Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in opposition to this resolution and deeply respect the previous speakers. Understand why they're trying to do this. It's unfortunate some people don't remember the whaling industry started in Massachusetts, and maybe they're trying to forgive their sins. But having said that, I say this resolution is being brought up under a procedure that does not allow amendments, and frankly, this resolution does nothing to save the whales. Mr. Speaker, more than 37,000 whales have been taken since the International Whaling Commission, IWC, implemented a moratorium on commercial whaling. Under the existing International Convention of Regulation of Whaling, member nations of the IWC can continue to take whales under a number of procedures. While I do not necessarily support commercial whaling, the current convention allows it for those nations that took a reservation against the commercial whaling moratorium. This resolution naively suggests that the United States can somehow end commercial whaling by itself at the next meeting of the International Whaling Commission, which starts next week. Very frankly, this resolution is nothing more than a fundraising gimmick for those environmental groups that oppose whaling. This resolution will do nothing to save the whales. In fact, it might do the opposite. If the IWC cannot come to some agreement on how to move forward, Norway, Iceland, and Japan have all signaled in recent years that they want to take either more whales or more species of whales. And under the current rules, they can do so. This resolution may do nothing more than encourage those countries to dig in their heels to increase their take of whales. In addition, the resolution says nothing about the need for the United States delegation in IWC to protect the native rights to harvest whales. To the native people of North Slope of Alaska, whales mean food. Alaska natives have harvested whales for centuries and they continue to do so. And although they have taken whales for centuries and depend on the bowhead whale to survive, they have constantly defended their need and their cultural heritage. And I want to compliment my Alaskan natives on the North Slope. They were told there was only 500 whales left when they were put on the endangered species list. They did not believe that. They hired the best professors, the best scientists in the world. And in fact, find out there's over 15,000 bowhead whales, just to prove the point that the science was wrong. And to the native people of the North Slope of Alaska, whales mean food. This is not an issue of politics to them. They have done everything the IWC has ever asked them, and they still get their quota taken away from them because people think using the whaling issue is good for fundraising. The Alaskan Eskimo Whaling Commission has done more scientific research on bowhead whale than any other government has ever done on any whale species. Every time the quota is up for renewal at the IWC, someone comes up with a new theory on why Alaskans should not be allowed to take the number of whales they need. And again, I will say need. Their quota is based on their need for whales is food. I can't say that enough, for food. To them, the whale is a necessary part of their culture, a necessary part of their dietary needs. And every time their quota is up, someone comes along and puts another hurdle in front of them that they must meet to get their quota. Mr. Speaker, the International Whaling Commission is broken. There are two groups of countries that show up each meeting and fight about which of them has the moral high ground. There are those countries that are anti-whaling and those countries that are pro-whaling. The two sides have been at arms race for years to see which side can get more countries to join the IWC so they can have a simple majority and can pass a meaningless resolutions before the other side gets a majority and passes meaningless resolutions to support their point of view. Neither side is ever likely to get enough countries on their side to make any change in the convention because it takes a 3/4 vote. And while they're having this fight about which side has the moral high ground, they use the native people who rely on whales for food as political hostages. At the 2002 meeting in Japan, the Alaskan Eskimo Whaling Commission's quota was denied because of those policies. It took a special meeting at IWC to restore the quota to my constituents. This is not a matter to be taken lightly and cannot continue. Alaska's quota cannot be held hostage every 5 years for other countries' political whims. It cannot be held to a higher standard and required to do more and more to satisfy someone's new theory about the bowhead whale that might mean a change for the Alaskan quota. Members need to be very careful about how they talk about whaling because the United States is a whaling nation. Alaska natives have harvested whale for centuries and they continue to do so today. This resolution does nothing to highlight the importance of Native peoples' need to harvest whales and may only further inflame the hostilities at the IWC and quite possibly result in an increased number of whales killed in the future. I hope the member nations of the IWC will come up... 30 seconds.
Time has expired.
Additional minute.
The gentleman from Alaska is recognized for 1 minute.
I hope the members of the nation of the IWC will come up with something new to resolve the impasse we're at today. But I'm afraid the resolutions like the one today will do nothing to resolve the problem and may actually make things worse. And the only people who continue to be hurt are the Native people of Alaska. And I don't think that's right. I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back the balance of his time. The gentleman from